Hey, yo, I want to talk about man's best friend and this 1989 piece of propaganda, all dogs go to heaven, because I'm here to tell you, I can prove they don't. This is just a lie perpetrated by Big Dog. It's a conspiracy. Think I'm crazy? Well, look around you. When was the last time Magic even printed a new hound, huh? The creature type was quietly replaced by dogs and you didn't even notice. Wake up, people. So today I'm going to look at the 160 cards WotC claim represent dogs, break them down into categories and prove that not only do all dogs not go to heaven, but most of the dogs aren't even dogs. Zoom in. Right, up first is category 5, which I'm calling, that's not a dog, that's an iPhone. Let me explain with a simple drawing. Is this the image of a dog? No, it's clearly a robot. How about now that it's bent over? Is it a dog yet? Also, obviously no, it's just a robot on all fours. How about if I give it ears, a muzzle and a tail? Is it a dog now and so gets to go to heaven? No, because clankers don't have souls. I don't care how dog-shaped they make their oppression drones. This thing is incapable of feeling love or remorse, and in the coming days you will do well to remember that. So with that in mind, take a look at Scrapwork Mutt. Is this a dog? I guess maybe those fiery vents at the back sort of look a bit like ears. But is this Terracyclops going to heaven? I don't think so. Is it even dog-shaped? I'm seeing 2 limbs, 3, maybe even 5 or 6. It doesn't matter because it's a robot and therefore categorically not a dog, regardless of the type line that WotC put on the card. How about Komainu Battle Armor? That's closer I guess, but still definitely not a dog. Those segmented plates scream Transformer to me, and honestly that head says more lion statue than anything. But guess what? WotC say this piece of equipment also gets the dog creature type. So are they implying that this thing is going to heaven? I certainly hope not, unless there's a section in the Bible that I missed where Jesus talks about toasters and power drills. Now, if we take a look at Sterling Hound, you could be forgiven for believing that's a dog, given that it's certainly dog-shaped. But just in case the metallic skin pattern isn't enough, even the flavor text rams home that this thing is just a machine. The older card, Clockwork Tracker, which if you look was printed before WotC replaced the Hound creature type, is similarly dog-shaped but is also in fact clearly just another robot. However, to discuss what's happening with that creature type, you can see regardless of what's actually printed on the card, WotC have errated this, just as they have with all other hounds, to be a dog. Why would they choose to do that? And who's paid them off? It's hard to say, I'm just asking questions. But it does mean that for today's video I'm going to be talking about hounds as if they were dogs, because that's how WotC have chosen to classify them, even if that classification doesn't make any logical sense to intelligent people like you and I. Again, why would WotC choose to classify creatures that clearly aren't dogs but could be arguably considered hounds as dogs? Well, I don't know for sure, but I think the name of the set that this card was printed in can give us a clue. And remember folks, if you ask an official if they're involved in a cover-up, they legally have to tell you. But anyway, Corpse Cur, not a dog. Dross Ripper, not a dog. Goldhound, not a dog. And even though dog is in the name, Watchdog is not a dog. The same is true for all these that are on screen right now, which are the cards that make up the majority of the artifact creatures in the game that contain the dog type line. I do quickly want to mention Tanuki Transplanter, which is also in this category, because a Tanuki is a raccoon, which have their own creature type in the game. So why is this even part of the conversation? Is there some kind of connection between raccoons and dogs that we need to know about? I think someone from WotC needs to start answering some questions. And I've also grouped Chardog here because I don't really know what I'm looking at. The creature type is technically dog food, but Scryfall will have it listed when you search for dog, so okay, I'll lump it in with the rest of these cards in category 5, which is not going to heaven, not a dog. Next is category 4, which I'm calling, that's not a dog, that's a man. Stop stroking him, we're in public, it's weird, I don't care that he likes it. And to explain this category, I have a professionally produced image for you. Is this a representation of a dog? No? How about now? Are you on the fence about your answer? Well, let's put a collar on this chap and imagine an old lady is taking him for a walk. If this man was with you and he defecated in public, would there be an expectation from those around you that it's your responsibility to pick it up? No, then he's not a dog. So with that in mind, Sandstep Scavenger, not a dog. Longshot Squad, not a dog. Abzan Beastmaster, not a dog. The other Abzan Beastmaster, still not a dog. Fortress Kinguard and Trade Route Envoy certainly have the face of some very good boys, just like Travelling Botanist and Carnival Barker. But sorry folks, they have thumbs and look like they're expected to pay taxes. Not a dog. And that's true for the remainder of the so-called dogs on screen. And maybe even these adult people will go to heaven, but I think that would need to be determined less by their nature of being dogs, and more on their deeds as men. Which they are, don't be fooled, these are adult men, so they're in Category 4. Category 3, or as I like to call it, that's not a dog, but it is a hound. And to explain this category, I want to put these two words on screen. I know many will argue that they're interchangeable, but they aren't, which changing their position can demonstrate. Hound dog, watch dog, guide dog, sled dog. Are all sleds dogs? No, of course not. Sled is its own thing, the words aren't interchangeable. Guard dog. Are all guards dogs? Of course not, guard is its own thing, the words aren't interchangeable. But what about sniffer dog? Sniffer isn't its own thing, I can hear you say. Are you sure? We'll tell that to Rusik, who was a sniffer cat. And the reason he wasn't a sniffer dog cat is because actually sniffer is its own thing. You can be a sniffer without being a dog, the words aren't interchangeable. So if this is true for every other term, why are WotC treating hound like the exception? Why do they want to erase hounds and act like they never existed? And who's profiting from that? I'm just asking questions. Because imagine if someone introduced you to Gorvassal and said this is a new type of dog. You would say, that's not a dog. But if they said this is a new type of hound, well, I bet you'd be less likely to disagree, right? And that's true for a bunch of these. Caustic hound, too pointy to be a dog, but hound works. Hellmongrel, too Cronenberg to be a dog, but hound works. A Coombe Hellhound and the other copy of a Coombe Hellhound, too lavery to be a dog, but hound works. Even Greater Moss Dog and Mortis dogs, who both have dog in the name, are too unrecognisable to be dogs but do fit the categorisation of hound. I mean, look at Plague Dogs. Look at it. That's just not a dog. Now, I personally doubt this abomination is getting into heaven. I mean, maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it's really sweet. But either way, if it does get into heaven, it certainly won't be because of it's a dog. Look at that face. No, it isn't. So in essence, this category is not dog-shaped. And so also includes things like Hollowborn Barghast. I don't know what that rat creature is, but it's not a dog. Gatehound looks like some sort of feline half-breed, but not a dog. Rakdos Ragema is clearly treated like a dog, but those horns tell me it's not a dog. Which is also true of Hydra Doodle. I don't care how groomed it is, it's not a dog. I'll take a moment to acknowledge Greater Tanuki, who, for the second time, is a Tanuki, a so-called raccoon dog, that for whatever reason is given the dog type, I suspect as it's easier to fit that word on a card. I still maintain that raccoon would have made more sense, but whatever, into category 3 this card goes. And finally in here we have cards like Elven Warhounds and Mongrel Pack, which could arguably be considered dogs, but again, thanks to those faces, are not quite dog-shaped enough, and so I feel belong in this category where hound is a clearer classification for them. There's not many left in this category that I didn't already cover, but here they are. And as you can see, they're made up of creatures that are very close to being dogs, but for one reason or another just aren't dog-shaped. Mostly due to the face, like in the 2 copies of Wild Mongrel there. So guaranteed entry into heaven? I don't think so. Category 2, and this one's simple. That's not a dog, but it is dog-shaped. And no explanation needed this time as the category is self-explanatory. Bayou Groff looks very much like a dog but is clearly made out of moss or something and so isn't a dog. Floodhound looks like a dog but is clearly made out of water or something and so isn't a dog. Dreadhound looks like a dog but is clearly made out of shadow or something and so isn't a dog. Lavahound looks like a dog but is clearly made out of lava or something and so isn't a dog. Enduring Courage looks like a dog but is clearly made out of... Well, to be honest, I don't know what that's made out of, but I can tell it isn't made out of dog, so it's not a dog. And Ghost Hounds looks like a dog, but is clearly made out of what used to be a dog, but is a dog no longer, so it isn't a dog. I will admit that I've grouped things like Throb and Foulbloods and Vampire Hounds into this category for similar reasoning. I think a dog needs both a dog body and a dog soul to count, and I think before dog I'd classify these as a zombie and vampire first, so not a dog. Banehound has too many eyes, so isn't a dog. Igneous Cur is on fire, so isn't a dog. Bolthound is part lightning, so isn't a dog. Stonebinder's Familiar is a magical familiar, so isn't a dog. And while both Mowu, Loyal Companion, and Kunaros, Hound of Aphrios are very good dogs, one has too many tails and the other has too many heads. They're clearly creatures of myth and not dogs. This is the rest of the dog-shaped creatures in this category, which is yet another category of if they do go to heaven, it won't be because they're dogs. As you can see, it includes a bunch more creatures with 3 heads. I hesitate to call them Cerberuses, as Cerberus was the name of a specific being from Greek myth who just happened to be a dog-type creature with 3 heads and not the name of a species. So calling all of these Cerberuses would be a bit like calling all zombies Frankensteins or all vampires a Dracula, which just seems off to me. But that's a topic for another day, because right now we're finally on to Category 1 that I call, Who's a good boy? Look at that face. And this one is simple. Actual dogs. Generous Pup is a very good dog. Mischievous Pup is a very good dog. District Mascot is a very good dog. Loyal Warhound is a very good dog. Even tokens like Dog and Dog all count and are very good dogs. And while dogs like Encampment Keeper and Karlov Watchdog may seem mean, they're just doing their jobs of protecting their masters, so these are good dogs. Alpine Watchdog is a good dog, Faithful Watchdog is a good dog, Pack Leader and its Altar are both good dogs, the Edgewell Pack are good dogs, and the Supply Runners are good dogs. Trusty Retriever is a good dog, Rescue Retriever is a good dog, Wary Watchdog is a good dog, and Resolute Watchdog is a good dog. Snowhound is the OG, the first dog in the game, and is also a very good dog. You may be asking yourself, is there a best dog? The actual answer to that is no. Look at the face of even Filthy Cur. All dogs in this category are equally great because there's no such thing as a bad dog. So I guess that propaganda saying all dogs go to heaven wasn't completely wrong. But I do feel there's one dog that should be given a special distinction. Is it Chrome Companion for being the only artifact creature dog to not appear in Category 5? No, though I did want to mention how that's clearly just a dog with some prosthetics and not a robot. So I question the artifact creature type. Is it Rin and Seri for finally giving people the commander they wanted for their cat and dog decks? Also no, though I must admit I think every version of this card has fantastic art, with that last one being my favourite. Is it Yoshimaru Ever Faithful, a reference to a real-life story that will break your heart if you know it? No, though I do very much feel this card is a perfect representation of just how wonderful dogs are. No, instead it's this little guy. He's not a legendary, he's not even that big, he's a 1/1. He's not magic, he's not mythical, he's just a dog like any other, and that's the point. So why mention him? Well, look at the art. Cards like this are the reason that I love Magic the Gathering. This card is able to tell an entire story with a single picture and a few words of text. Notice the people cowering in the back. How the dog is growling at someone out of frame. The shadow of that person informing us that they're holding a knife. This is the promo version of the card Selfless Savior. The flavor text reads, I never had the chance to say thank you or goodbye. Sarvag, eulogy for a friend. This one's going to heaven. What a good dog. Just like the rest of them listed here, I imagine. These are the remainder of the Magic the Gathering cards that WotC claim are dogs that I would say, yeah, these ones are dogs. And good dogs at that too. But if you consider it's only one category out of 5 that WotC claim to be dogs that I won't refute, then it makes you wonder what they're doing the rest of the time and why they would be incentivized to do it. Makes you think, doesn't it? I'm just asking questions. Because if all these are dogs, then why are they trying to claim Tanuki are too? Why are WotC classifying these soulless machines in the same category as genuine heroes like this? And why are they trying to cover up the existence of hounds? Some of these cards have literally been reprinted with a new type. Explain that one, if you can. I guess in the comments below. What's that? Mark Rosewater put out a whole statement about it. They just changed it because it made sense to them at the time. They didn't even do it for gameplay reasons, but on a whim. Oh. Well, never mind then, I guess. Subscribe! Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to everyone that supports me, like 27 publications, Eggboy the Particle that permeates all existence, Blank Space, Wanpako Jozu, Miss Murder, a random Patreon, Ominous Jazz, and the rest of my patrons whose names are on screen now. I'd also like to thank the sponsor for this video, me and my Patreon page, where you can get your name credited on screen too. Check it out in the link in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, tell everyone about your dog. Most importantly, subscribe and share this video with a friend. Hit the notification bell and do all those things the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, let me know, and I will see you next time.